In 2024, Texas Motor Speedway is one of the most hated tracks on NASCAR's schedule due to poor racing quality. This isn't a new issue for the track, as Texas was once the most hated track in NASCAR due to a completely different issue: safety. Several reconfigurations and repaves were attempted in the first few years of racing in desperation to retain NASCAR and IndyCar races. Several tragic accidents raised concern for drivers, teams, and series executives alike, eventually resulting in CART refusing to take the series to Texas. In this video, we will discuss the accidents and events that led to Texas Motor Speedway's business and PR nightmare, and how they overcame these challenges. But right before the video starts, make sure you guys leave a like if you do enjoy. If you do, make sure you subscribe so you never miss another video. Anyway, let's get right into it. In the late 60s, Texas World Speedway was opened. NASCAR, open-wheel, sports cars, everything that had four wheels raced around the daunting 2-mile oval. By the early 80s, NASCAR and other major series stopped going to the track, leaving Texas's massive market without a race. Speedway Motorsports owner Bruton Smith and the vice president of public relations at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the late Eddie Gossage, teamed up to bring a new track to the massive Dallas-Fort Worth area. The pair drew up the idea of a 150,000-seat, Texas-sized track that would be unlike any other racing venue in the world. They broke ground on April 11, 1995. Almost 2 years to the day before the tentative date of the first NASCAR race. The project was no easy task, even for some of the best industry professionals at the time. "I'll never do it again," said Bruton Smith whenever he was asked about the next track. Leading into NASCAR's first weekend at the new raceway, it seemed that the $150 million investment would pay off. 150,000 seats and 76 luxury condos were completely sold out, and the Cup Series was guaranteed to return the next season. However, leading into the race, there was a lot of skepticism about the layout and the design of the track. Gossage and Smith wanted to take the best aspects of ovals around the country and put it together in one racetrack. This included a dual banking system. This meant that each turn would feature two sections of the racetrack, and one 8-degree banking inner loop section for open wheel cars. Originally, it was proposed to put a temporary wall up for Indy Racing League races so the drivers couldn't reach the higher banking. Indy Racing League founder Tony George was not sold on the idea and said that he couldn't initially even understand what was being proposed. Indy Racing League drivers were outspoken about this being a terrible idea overall. However, Texas Motor Speedway still decided to develop the track this way, but opted not to set up any temporary walls. Regardless, the Cup Series was welcomed to Texas for the first time in typical NASCAR style: rain. The weather was so bad that not only was qualifying canceled, but the grass parking lots around the track were unusable. Because of this, Texas's Department of Transportation closed down 16 miles of State Highway 170 to be used as parking and provided buses to take spectators to the track. As for the race itself, it took less than one lap for the controversy to start. A 13-car pileup in Turn 1 ruined the day for many drivers. Additionally, there was this massive crash involving Greg Sacks, Jeff Gordon, and Ernie Irvan. By the end of the day, there were 10 cautions for a total of 76 laps under yellow, with more than 10 drivers wrecked out. Many drivers complained about the track surface, and attributed the wreck-filled race to this. The IndyCar race was not short of controversy either, as Tony Stewart's engine let go with 3 laps to go while he was in the lead. While Billy Boat celebrated in victory lane, Arie Luyendyk claimed that he was the true winner and was scored 1 lap short due to a scoring mistake. The next day, Arie was given the victory. After the Cup race and a drama-filled IndyCar race, Texas announced that they would reprofile a 300 by 55-foot section of Turn 4. This was due to feedback from the drivers, who said it was nearly impossible to maintain control of their cars exiting Turn 4. The 24-degree banking would transition to only 5 degrees of banking on the front stretch, a whopping 19-degree difference that was way too abrupt for stock cars. Drivers' complaints about the track surface were the media's main headlines entering next year's race in 1998. Eddie Gossage was selling t-shirts for $18 a pop at the track souvenir stands that said, "Shut up and drive." This was obviously in reference to the drivers' complaints about the surface. Gossage and his team had a great laugh about this until the morning of qualifying, which was forced to be postponed because of severe water leaks all over the track. Derek Cope and Lake Speed both spun out during their qualifying runs because of the water that seeped onto the track. The race went on, but there was another huge accident early on, this time on lap 2 entering turn 1. Additionally, Greg Sachs endured a terrible season-ending wreck. Reportedly, the hit was so hard that all the gauges popped out of the dash and Greg's helmet had a crack in it. He suffered potential life-threatening injuries, mainly due to a serious neck injury. In 1999, the focus was on the IRL race, as there was a very serious accident. In final practice, rookie driver Nicholas Johnson lost control of his car heading onto the track after his car was serviced. According to witnesses, the car turned hard left and hit the pit wall and the back of Tice Carlson's car. Carlson's crew was working on the car, and ultimately, a dozen people were injured. 8 crew members were hospitalized, alongside Johnson, who suffered a concussion, but there were no serious injuries. The main storyline of the 1999 Cup race was a vicious hit Jeff Gordon took while chasing Mark Martin for the lead. Gordon had a flat tire out of nowhere exiting turn 4 and smacked the outside wall a ton. He was visibly shaken, and it took him a couple of minutes to climb out. At the time, Gordon said that it was the hardest hit of his career. He reportedly suffered bruised ribs and may have even had a concussion, forcing him to miss a test session the next week. In 2012, Gordon said that if his tire let go just a bit earlier, then that crash could have killed him. 2000's trip to Texas was headlined by Tony Roper's tragic incident that left him dead the day after the Craftsman truck race. After wrecking on the exit of turn 4, Roper's car went up in flames as his truck came to a stop. He was unresponsive as emergency crews reached him, and he was placed on a ventilator at a nearby hospital until his passing. His official cause of death was a basilar skull fracture. The next year in 2001, CART planned to have their first race at Texas, but that all changed just 2 hours before the race. During practice, 25 drivers hit speeds over 235 miles per hour. In the turns, drivers would experience 3 to 5 Gs, which is enough to cause vision issues, blackouts, and confusion. 21 of the drivers reported symptoms of disorientation, including one driver who claimed to have dipped in and out of consciousness during trial runs. The race was postponed and more than 50,000 fans were sent home. The race status was already in doubt in the weeks leading up and was a topic of conversation after the terrible wreck suffered there, including Davey Hamilton nearly losing his legs in an IRL race just months prior. 4 years into the Texas experiment, it seemed that the track may be destined to fail. Maybe Bruton Smith and Eddie Gossage's vision of a wild, Texas-styled racetrack was not something realistic. There was one great success of the track, though, and that was the attendance. In 1999 and 2000, more than 220,000 people showed up for the Cup races. Smith and Gossage were not ready to give up on the track, as they invested another $2.4 million into repaving the track at the end of 2001 to remove bumps and dips on the racing surface. Gossage stated that the wrecks were not happening as a result of these bumps and dips. He went on to say that they were simply repaving the track to make the racing as best as possible. But we can read between the lines. That was the sole purpose of the repave. Regardless, this repave worked even better than they could have imagined. Texas's reputation slowly began to improve and was beloved by all racing series. By 2005, the track had 2 Cup races, sports car races, IROC, and an IndyCar date. The track became a staple of racing in the United States. Gossage and his team did whatever it took to ensure the racing product got better, the drivers and teams were safer, and most importantly, they listened to the feedback. I feel like track presidents, promoters, and NASCAR overall could learn so much from this situation. Texas was set up for failure and had a mountain to climb in order to maintain a good relationship with the public and drivers. But they listened, invested into their facilities, and made sweeping changes even though hundreds of thousands of fans were coming to the track. It's funny that Texas Motor Speedway now is probably even more hated than in the beginning, but hopefully they get a wake-up call soon and do something like this again. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.